What's up, everybody? Main boat guy back again. Today's fun project: 7.4 liter Mercruiser multi-port. I'll do the same for most. With Bravo drives, we're going to do the water pump, seawater pump, I guess you would call it. I think that's what they call it. So raw water pump, whatever you want to call it. Fans cranking over here because it's a warm day. Finally warmed up in Maine. Go from 60s during the day right up to 80s today. Gonna hit 90 tomorrow, 90 Friday. So the cool weather is gone. So yeah, these are a tricky one here, especially when you've got batteries and such. See if I can get this camera in there to show you. So that's your little seawater pump right there. So we're going to have to obviously take the belt off. And then the two hoses, you can see them in the back there, kind of. We want to disconnect both of those hoses. And then just pay attention to which one's going where, so when you put it back on, you don't have it backwards. And then I believe there's 3 studs going through that bracket that'll allow it to come off. I am going to try to, I don't know how I'm going to film this, but we're going to try. Not sure if I'll get any kind of video or any kind of useful video out of this pot, but we'll see. Just going to move this battery somewhat out of my way a little bit. Spend a lot of extra time disconnecting batteries and such. So I'm going to get this belt off here. Let's see if I can show this. Nope. Oh, let's see. Right there is the tensioner. So you just loosen up this nut and then turn that center stud. And that walks the pulley up and down those little staircase in the back to tighten up or loosen up the belt. So you'll see when I the belt's just going to want to loosen right up now. And then obviously, just like any other time when you're taking a belt off, pay attention to belt routing, take a picture, whatever you gotta do to make sure you remember how the belt goes. I think I'm just gonna pull this off here. Try and keep it on the other pulleys. Take it right off the seawater pump. Hopefully the fan doesn't kill my audio too bad. Oh yeah, I'd say. How easy this is spinning. There's probably no water pump or impeller left in there. I'm gonna run and get a pair of gloves. I'll be back. Alright, so I've got 5/16 on a long 1/4 inch extension, so I can try and snake it in, pull the hose clamps off the hoses. And surprisingly, that hose came right off. Kind of blown away by that. Never had that happen so easy, but that just means we'll have something else that's going to be a pain in the ass. my favorite working single hand. This is in a Wellcraft Excalibur, so they don't give you the working room. I'm kneeling on a seat that's probably as high as the valve covers, so it's got me at a crazy angle. I've been in worse, but I've been in easier ones too. I'd say I shouldn't complain, but it's July 3rd. I'm ready to take some time off and celebrate 4th of July, but not gonna be so easy. Alright, so we got that one off. I'm still very surprised how easy those came off. Alright, and then we're gonna need 1/2 inch, probably a shorty, because the pulley's in the way. Get this nuts off of the studs holding the rail water pump in place. Put her down. Hopefully you can see my hand, because I can't see. So right there, and then there's going to be, I believe, 3 of them going around in a circle. Those will be the bolts you want to get off. It, folks. There she be. Missing half the freaking impeller. Holy shitskis. Alright, let's bring it inside and take her apart. Alright, we're back on my messy ass bench. I did clean a little bit, but unfortunately 4th of July. My nephew's carburetor's over here. Alex, when you see this, I'm working on them, buddy. These are the knock sensors off that. Should have done a video on that. 7.4 MPI, setting a code off above 3,000 RPMs, and that was the cause. And then now we're into this. First thing I'm noticing, I don't know if you can see it, it's gonna be hard to see, but right, let me get to the camera, on that bolt, there's a crack in that housing. That bolt is supposed to be threaded, but it looks like somebody did a little over tightening, which it's typical, it happens. They shouldn't, because these have plastic housings, and these definitely should be torqued. I believe it's 10 foot-pounds. Seems like that one's, oh yeah, that one's broken right off. Look at that. Oh, so this is already turning into, yes, more of a project. Look at that. Be in a good spot. But yeah, something, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. All right. Well, yeah, and I'd say the bearings are bad in there. Not a good sound. Well,
think I have any used housings around, of course. So, I think he's shit out of luck. We'll see what he wants to do, and then we'll be back.
So right here is the answer to this question. What are we going to do with that old pump? We're just going to replace it. On the box somewhere. One-piece pump. Or one-piece housing pump, I would say. Yeah, so there was options on Amazon for aftermarket, and save almost $200 if you go aftermarket, but OEM, just in my belief, 90% of the time is the way to go. I mean, I guess if it was my own, I'd probably try it, because I'd only have myself to blame. I mean, I'd do it for a customer. If they bought it and brought it to me, I'd put it in, but just letting them know that if something did happen, you know, it is what it is. At least Mercruiser, you know, you're going to get some time out of it. That's just my belief, especially when you're getting paid to do it. So, but we're going to take this, we're going to put it back in and give her a test run. All right, time to put the new pump back in. Battery back out of my way. Make sure I get all the right hardware still in the boat. Okay, so if you didn't mark your hoses, or you replaced the pump and you marked it on the old one, you can't transfer it to the new one, right on the back of the housing it's going to tell you left hand, right hand rotation. So if it's right hand, this is out. If it's left hand, this is out. And then you can figure out which hose is coming from your transom assembly in the back on the top. And whatever one's coming out of there and going to the pump is your inlet. Yeah, so that's the easiest way to figure that whole thing out. Or if you start it up in a barrel, definitely don't start it up on muffs. After you change any water pump, you'll want to start it up in a barrel to actually physically let it draw the water up. You don't want to be forcing it with the water, with the water pressure of the hose, because that will falsely tell you that it's working. And then on this side, where your studs are sticking up, that's how you're going to line this thing up into place to make sure that you've got it at the right spot. So, try and get this bad boy back in here in the right spot. No way I did that first try, but we'll take it. 4th of July today, gonna be a hot one. Can't wait. If anybody's ever watching these videos and you got any questions on anything that I've done, how I've done it, the way I've done it, whatever, definitely throw me a comment in the comment section, and I try as hard as I can to answer any comments, and hopefully I can help somebody out. Not that I don't believe you should bring your boat to a boat yard or a qualified mechanic to do most of the work that you need done, but there's plenty of stuff that you can do at home, that as long as you got a little bit of mechanical experience. And you've got a decent amount of tools. You know, that's the hardest part, is it's what most people get screwed up on, is not having all the stuff to make the job the easiest. Kind of like when I try and do carpentry, I don't have all
fancy saws and such, so it's a little more work. Where something like this would be is if you just had a basic tool set, the shorty with a 3/8 drive ratchet is going to be tight in that bracket behind that pulley. Not that you can't do it, but it's just a little harder. Alright, so I've got that on there. And then I'm going to try and get these hoses back on. Get my 5/16 on my extension ready for those hose clamps. Oh, and if I'm lucky enough, and if you're ever tightening hose clamps using a ratchet like I do, you definitely don't want to crank them down, because you will break the clamp using the ratchet. So you kind of got to get a feel for it. If you don't have that feel and you're one of these guys that breaks every bolt you touch, you might want to use a flathead screwdriver. Whenever you're doing these serpentine belts, you really want to make sure that these things sit all the way in the grooves on every pulley before you go to tighten it. I've had it before where one can be off just a little bit, and then you go tighten the belt. The second you crank it over, the belt comes right off. Chances are it gets bound up somewhere. And Mercruiser wants ridiculous amounts of money for their belts, and they're funky numbers, so most of the time you can't get the exact belt from an auto parts store. So one thing I don't have the exact specs on is the belt tension. I guess experience. I don't want to say I get it perfect every time, but I don't have the tool for measuring the belt tension. I think you can go by belt deflection, how much you can roll it or push it. Some guys, measure the amount of twist you can put on it. There's so many different ways, but obviously not too much tension. If you start putting a ton of tension, you'll be pulling the bracket sideways. You'll put a lot of pressure on the bearings themselves, in the other water pump, the idler pulley, power steering, yada yada yada. And then you'll turn a little job into a big job. Alright. Let's get this battery back down. Alright, we're going to go get this thing backed into the test tank and fire her up. Alright, so if you saw that first part, I'm probably going to edit that in there when I started it up and I got no water flow. Something I wasn't thinking about when I did the impeller is all these chunks. This isn't a slow wear. This thing had a bad, implosion one day. So all those chunks made their way up into the oil cooler. So basically I had to pull all the hoses off and do a back flush, and probably should have run the camera, but I was getting a little aggravated because it's the morning of 4th of July and I should be out in my boat instead of doing this, but I am here doing this. So we got that all flushed out and all the chunks out. I hope most of the chunks out at least, and I already started it once and got the water flow out. But fire it up again just so you guys can see what I got for a water flow now. That's basically what we need out of these, is the steady flow out of each manifold. Basically an equal flow out of both manifolds, just to show us the elbows aren't plugged up. And obviously running out of the tank, getting no city water pressure, just pressure of the pump, suction of the pump, and pressure. You guys check out this bad boy, the Excalibur. So thanks for watching. Like the video if it helped you. Subscribe to my channel. I'll have plenty more coming up. Have a good 4th.